He goes down for 14 XP for the opponent. Meanwhile, you can see the riflemen are all getting healed by this, so really that was no good whatsoever. I didn't quite see if he was able to get an execution off or anything like that, but it didn't look like he got many kills. Grenadier motorcycle just kind of hanging out. Maybe he'll sneak up there and throw a hand grenade, but a lot of people forget about these abilities late game. We'll see if he can get one out there, and nothing. Oh, there it is. All right, hand grenade is out there. Kaboom. Looks like it does 1 kill. 1 remaining engineer, but he is resupplying. InfantKnife being very clever about, making sure he's resupplying constantly here and that sort of thing. A lot of casualties going off. Basically, Vampire is just trying to get as many kills as he possibly can before infantry attrition can come back up. Any squads he can finally kill would be good. And this is around the point in the game where I start thinking that players who can rely on infantry attrition run the risk of getting kind of sort of blood drunk with the ability. They they kind of get intoxicated with its effects, and you'll see them just kind of acting all the time as if infantry attrition was effective, and it kind of results in a little bit of sloppy play here and there. In general, I see where InfantKnife is going with his strategy, but I kind of question why he's, running around in open cover so much. Now finally infantry attrition is up, so hopefully he'll fire this off as soon as he possibly can. Hopefully we'll see infantry attrition, and he runs away. So, sloppy. I mean, I'm just going to go out and say that. Unfortunately, maybe he wasn't aware of his cooldowns. He definitely had more than enough munitions to get that going there. But if you're going to be an infantry attrition player, at least abuse it correctly. Run in there and charge on down there with all of your infantry and get as many kills as you can. Right at the moment that he could have done it, he retreated. And now that he's nowhere near the front at all, it looks like he went ahead and activated it just to get this this anti-tank gun back into play, which, by the way, is pretty awesome. I mean, at least in the sense of awe-inspiring. So he did fire it off just in time to have this whole AT squad taken out, and here they come once again with another AT gun. The only downside of that is it really does litter your battlefield with AT guns, but a little bit of firefighting going on up here. Looks like that Eagle Eye Sniper is going to get away, just singed a little bit. Some backcapping going on here for this forward barracks. A little bit of kills happening, and it looks like these guys are jumping on in, and now here is the rest of the infantry attrition now. And like I said, I'm not sure if this is really the best use of infantry attrition. He's really charging on in there, but he's just, really charging on in there with, completely pinned by machine guns, getting shot at by God and everybody, and mortars landing everywhere, and Burgers Pumish firing away at them. And he's not really doing a lot of damage. He's done a couple of kills here, but thankfully the inspired zeal has really bumped up these few units that lost a couple of units there. But retreating away here, and it looks like this anti-tank gun, however, is perfectly ready for this. Single grenade going off. Let's see if we can get anything done. Oh, does a little bit of damage, but he's going to have to get out of there. Unfortunately, he's within range of this machine gun emplacement. But we'll take a look back here, and we'll see everybody is back again. And this is the time where I start really feeling for the people who want to make the argument that this is an unbalanced ability. And, I'm not going to take a direct stance on it yet, but I can definitely see that something about this ability seems a little bit unnatural. Either the duration or the cost or something to that effect. But hopefully there's a happy medium there somewhere. But that's neither here nor there. How do you deal with it? This is in the game. This is a strategy. What are we going to do here? We'll see that we do have this anti-tank gun placed nicely on the Bridge of Doom out here. Meanwhile, this accomplished Stug is out, and it even looks like InfantKnife is going to go ahead and reoccupy this anti-tank gun. Always a good idea. Pick those things back up, retreat, resupply, or don't even pick those things up and die to infantry attrition. Doesn't matter. All of those are good ideas. Let's take a quick look at Vampire here. We'll see there's a ton of backcapping going on, and Vampire has extended quite a ways into the southern hemisphere here. Hasn't poked out too much on the north, but he's doing a lot better, and you can see that he is now in that kind of position that we saw InfantKnife in earlier. He has a nicely nestled in, accomplished mortar team. He's got a good-looking Eagle Eye Sniper out here getting a lot done, and he's got a ton of infantry out here, basically. So, unfortunately, he's not able to kill too many of these riflemen who are out here in exposed cover, and really, this anti-tank gun, I appreciate the fact that InfantKnife picked it up and is using it, but he needs to, get it out of there. This is wildly, wildly exposed for a single anti-tank gun. He should back it up to here, work on getting it back to here. he needs to centralize that a little bit because, you know, you really want that gun up here. It's nice for a little while to have this sort of unexpected angle of fire on anything coming across the bridge or coming down this road, but that's just asking to be flanked, so he's going to have to deal with that. We have a ton of engineers moving back out. Let's take a look at the army sizes right now, just for the meantime. We have 3 very wounded rifleman squads, 2 engineers, and 1 AT gun. So not looking too big here for InfantKnife. While we take a look over here at Vampire, and we can see that he has a massive army. A Stug, a Puma, a Hero motorcycle, anti-tank gun, sniper, bunch of engineers, bunch of Volksgrenadiers, machine gun. I mean, just, you know, big healthy army. And so where did that come from? Mostly it came from the fact that InfantKnife was just being really sloppy with his non-infantry times. So here we come once again, infantry attrition up, and he's going to charge on through, and he's going to, you know, he's going to refill his infantry. This is true, but he's not going to increase the amount of squads yet. He's just going to fill them. Hopefully he'll get some kills done here, but it really doesn't look like he is so far. Looks like he hasn't even got a single kill. And at this point, he doesn't even get a single kill. In fact, oh, there is the single kill right there. From this sniper who really had nothing to do with infantry attrition whatsoever. So, you know, he successfully recharged and used up some of his munitions, but I don't necessarily think he's being all that tactical about where he's putting his infantry attrition. He's using it, and he's spamming it out there, but it's not very effective use. In fact, it's so close to his base, these guys are back ready for round 2 practically. But to some extent, oh, and the sniper is actually being quite effective out here, sniping away at this accomplished mortar team. Stug just kind of hanging out in the back, taking some shots. Infantry attrition is still a little bit active here for these remaining 4 riflemen, but it's unlikely they will be killed by the time that that's done, which is pretty good. That's a pretty advantageous position. So I would like to see, and you know, he's doing an able job, Vampire here. He's capping up here. And, you know, this passive-aggressive warfare is going to go on all fronts for quite some time here. This motorcycle is stickied and blown up and spinning around and doing some donuts up here and all that sort of stuff. So, unfortunately, that's all done. These Grenadiers really need to retreat. Really need to retreat, but they're kind of perhaps lost in all the micro that's going on here right now. Even just kind of retreating back just very slightly so they can get resupplied here from this forward barracks on the German side. And now, looks like we went ahead and activated for the... Oh, sorry. That's definitely going to be an Inspired Zeal. Sometimes I think it's for the fatherland, but it's not. Meanwhile, taking a lot of casualties. You can see here, this is really where the problem sets in. And I hate saying that. I'm not trying to make the argument that infantry attrition is balanced because people out there can do it incorrectly, but this is certainly an example of being way too aggressive. He's attacking as if it is active, and it isn't, and he's just losing units constantly. This is interesting. I like seeing that he's still trying to go for this medic station. You can tell that the style of play here is lots of infantry. I'm going to overwhelm you with infantry. You'll kill them, I'll get them back for free, and I'll get more infantry squads because the bodies will get collected. But so far, that's not just happening. You can see that it really comes down to Vampire getting a good selection of units and just sitting on his, you know, he's just kind of hanging back and sitting in good defensive positions and making it so that the infantry attrition is not trading unit for unit. In fact, he's just kind of he's staying as far back as he can so that they, you know, every time they're just losing more and more infantry units. So looks like his own Volksgrenadiers and Grenadiers are going to move up and take some shots here. And oh, looks like that anti-tank gun goes down. Second anti-tank gun moving up, and you can see that we have a little bit of burning going on up here between the engineers and a few Volksgrenadiers and these extra riflemen just heading on up to the north. But still, like I said, I really like this game. It's a good example of just what to do and what to not do. And, you know, unfortunately, you know, if you take that logic, it sounds like I'm encouraging people to try this infantry abuse, but just try it a little bit better. But at the same time, not only could you improve your infantry play by, you know, changing some of the little mistakes that we're seeing InfantKnife make here, but you could also improve your terror play or your just general axis play by kind of taking on some of these ideas that we're seeing Vampire use here, which is just to really stick your guns and have a good variety of units. Use them defensively and use them smart. That's really all he's doing, is just putting them in good locations so that they can't easily be overwhelmed by the infantry attrition. Here comes the next wave of infantry attrition, and he's just going to take it. He's going to say, you know what, I don't care if I give you back 2 rifleman squads because I have plenty of rifleman squads. Sorry, not rifleman squads, Volksgrenadiers, but you know what I mean. Anti-tank gun now is moving up, and this again is just like it's attrition for the sake of attrition. He's thinking, oh, good, well, I'll get this anti-tank gun back, so let me just wander it on up here and lose it now for the sake of losing it, because maybe I can do 1 point of damage to a Puma. Now this sniper on the other hand out here is doing a great job, but you'll see one guy down, taking some more damage, and what was the point of that? I mean, that was a really nice defensive emplacement here, and now he has no really nice defensive emplacement, but a replacement anti-tank gun in the back. So this game I'm being a little bit critical here, but I do see kind of a lot of mistakes all over the place. And but I challenged our Wehrmacht players to go ahead and get some replays out there of people kind of beating this stuff and what's going on. And here's an example. So hopefully we can learn something from it, because I liked it. It worked in a lot of ways. And not to discredit InfantKnife at all. I thought his opening was beautiful. It was really, really good, strong opening. I think later on, some of his understanding about how infantry attrition works and how to properly abuse it was a little bit misguided there. So anyhow, looking back at the base here, you can see that we, of course, went for a Krieg Barracks and a Sturm Armory. Obviously, we've already seen all those units out here. Now this is a little strange, but the double medic station, I guess he's losing a lot of units, and he thinks he can't possibly collect them all with 2 medics, and therefore wants 4 medics. I can't speak too accurately as to whether or not that is true or false, but it does seem like a little bit overkill, and that he could probably get more for less. Meanwhile, recapping this anti-tank gun and taking shots at units that anti-tank guns generally don't do any damage to, and then losing the anti-tank gun, and then attacking out here with the riflemen. So just kind of a lot of unfocused play at this point, and perhaps maybe it's that he was just kind of planning on winning with that initial push, and then that didn't work out. So already I can say my biggest criticism would be to have a better idea about when you're using attrition and when you're not using attrition, but also I kind of like I said, I'm still on the fence about this whole off-map reinforcements thing. We haven't seen it yet, but of course he doesn't have the population for it. He is horribly disconnected at this point. A lot of killing going on up here right now. These riflemen are having a tough time, but it's a great ability. It can spit out a ton of riflemen, but really just kind of constantly spitting out a little bit of rangers I think would have better served him. Rangers are kind of a little bit they're a little bit more suited for kind of suicide attacks with respect to infantry attrition. And again, I'm not encouraging anybody to do this or not do this. Play the game as you want. These are all strategies. As far as I'm concerned, whatever wins, and we wait for the balance to come otherwise. But I think a lot of people underestimate the metagame, and that I've kind of talked about this a little bit before, but in StarCraft, and I'm a StarCraft fan, there were whole periods of time where there were no patches and no changes whatsoever, and Zerg to Terran win-loss ratios were like 90% to 10%, and then a little while later they'd be 50 to 50, and then they'd be 30 to 70, and the ratios would just go up and down wildly, and for whole chunks of time. And here we have again another attrition. To what end, I don't know. It's just he's just kind of cycling his engineers and burning off some excess munitions. But like I was saying about StarCraft, of course, all of these changes had to do with metagame, i.e. people were learning how to counter strategies that were popular and therefore changing the balance of the game. It had nothing to do with the actual patches. So while I acknowledge that patching is part of the process, the other part of the process is what we are all doing here today, which is watching these replays, talking about them, bouncing ideas off of each other, and seeing what works and seeing what doesn't work. That is really what drives metagame. And if other games like StarCraft can give us any example, you don't always need patches to fix all this stuff. Mind you, I'm not saying we don't need patches. I think, there are some obvious problems with things like infantry attrition and all that. But that's for another time. So, while I've been ranting, we've pretty much just been seeing the same thing over and over again. A lot of suicide charges, and frankly, living up to the name attrition across this bridge to no avail, and a little bit of backcapping here. During this time, we've seen Vampire, expand nicely, and he's got a nice solid control, albeit a little patchwork up here in the north, and he has never really managed to cap this position. I think he could divert a good amount of units and just come up here and take it once and for all. Hopefully this Puma will be able to lead that charge, and maybe eventually even cap this, but that's not even that necessary of a point, provided you can connect up your territory. It's more important to deny it. I think having it be neutral is almost as good as owning it yourself. Meanwhile, we will see. It looks like InfantKnife is finally getting the right idea, and this I agree with. This is really good. Obviously charging across this bridge with infantry attrition is just going to cause you to lose the game. He has identified this, and now he is moving outwards. So, I think it's a good example, and I do this a lot in games, is that you have a strategy in mind, and it doesn't work quite right the first time, and it definitely doesn't work the second time, and by the third time, the guy has really, really hard countered you, and it's really tempting to think, all right, by the fourth time I'll get this. Okay, wait, one more, fifth time, and it's kind of, this is the intoxication of the kind of,